moving on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Hello race fans and welcome to Sim Racing Media. We are live here on YouTube to bring you round 13 of the Western States Racing League here at Talladega. I'm Liam Irving, joined in the booth by Mike Devani. Mike, how you doing here today?
Doing good, man. Can't wait to see what these drivers do here at the super speedway that is Talladega. Had a pretty uneventful race last week in Kansas. I don't know that we can say the same thing's going to happen here at Talladega.
At 2 2/3 miles, 30 degrees of banking. Got 25 trucks registered to roll here at Talladega, the biggest, baddest super speedway in all of. Super excited to bring you the action here today. It'll be a fun one as these guys get ready on the grid. Jacob Jensen, know it, on the pole. Well, with that being said, we can go ahead and go through the rest of your starting grid. On the pole, Jacob Jensen with Scott Kukis. To his outside, Matt Sisler and William Fletcher. Pick up row number 2. Todd Miles, Daryl Scott, in row 3, followed by Bob Beltrami and Wayne Hutchison. Chris Walker and Keith Kelman round out the top 10, followed by Alan Bergen, best start of the season, and Earl Weaver to his outside. John Kenyon, David Weaver, row number 7. Row 8 with James Dewar and Ryan Steele. Ryan Barnes, Wayne Fleet in row number 9. Shane Jensen and Justin Byrd. Barry Phil, Chris Simard in row 11. Followed by Butch Davis, Charles Woods. Rounding out the field here today, Tyrone Harris. Your 25 drivers ready to roll here in Talladega, and it looks like Charles Woods, Tyrone Harris were unable to take the grid. 23, Mike, gonna take this green flag. Got a lot of unknowns coming our way. First off, I want to talk about the pit strategies here. Heard from the Jensens, it's maybe looking at about 14 laps. If you're wide open, you can push it a couple laps longer if you're able to save and let off the gas a little bit. But Mike, looking at making 5 pit stops in this 75 lap event.
Yeah, pit road is going to be busy this time. I mean, these drivers have got to slow down, get down to that pit road speed, and make that safe pit entry. I expect we're probably going to see some calamity happen there, and also probably some speeding penalties as well.
That's entirely possible. We could see some of these guys get nabbed for speeding, and that would definitely break up this pack. Expect to see at least some of those green flag, or some of those pit stops happen under green flag conditions. Up off of turn number 4. One of the longest front straightaways in all of racing, but one of the most unique as well. Everybody talks about how it's the finish line way over on the other side, and that makes the finish different. My big difference is how long you've got to wait for the green flag after the pace truck goes off. Still waiting for the starter. Flag in hand, gotta wait for it to drop. Green flag is in the air. We are racing here in Talladega.
Yeah, Jacob Jensen got out to a good start. That outside lane has Scott Kukas. Scott Kukas has not been running up towards the front very much lately, and he has kind of backed up that outside lane. The inside lane definitely has the advantage as they head through the backstretch run.
A little bit of 3 and 4 wide action towards the back of the pack here. A lot of guys just try to figure out where they want to be, where they want to sit. They know it's a long race. They know they've got pit stops coming their way. Find yourself in a bit of trouble this early into the event.
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting here at 75 laps, so tons of pit stops. Definitely need to find your friends. Have a buddy that you're going to come down pit lane with. The last thing you want to do here at Talladega is lose that draft. And you can see Jacob Jensen kind of going to the outside, fading back just a little bit, trying to avoid a little bit of the calamity here at the start of these races.
Finds a spot to fall in line. He's going to fall out of the top 10. They're in 11th place from the pole in just a lap and a half. Now he looks like he's back comfortable as Matt Sisson takes over the race lead in that 93 machine. He's got Todd Miles in the 15 behind him. Bob Beltrami third in line on the inside, and Wayne Hutchison coming up top with a big push from Scott Kukas.
That's one of the strategies in this race. Do you want to be up front and kind of dictate the pace a little bit, trying to avoid the calamity, or do you kind of fade to the back, bide your time, and wait, knowing that you're going to get a chance to move towards the front later in the race?
I mean, you've got a long way to go, and a guy like Dustin Burns here at the very back of the field, for example, he's very likely just kind of biding his time back here. I mean, nobody wants to sit and last for an extended period of time, but as long as you can see the pack, everybody's close enough to you to be able to pull on that draft. Could be in a good spot.
Yeah, as long as you can get close enough where you still have that draft, not too much to worry about there. As it looks like Barry Phil kind of went down on the apron a little bit, trying to get that 99 in the right direction here.
And up to the top. Lucas going to look to his outside. 60. Gotta go. Go through the middle. Darrell Scott in the 62. Alan Bergen in the 00. It's shuffled out.
Yeah, and he's going to go back quite a little ways here until he finds a spot to drop down and get back in line. Looks like it's going to be right behind Butch Davis if he elects to get back down.
Got the space. It looks like he's staying up there a little bit. Start to get a little tense up front, though. Todd Miles early on the bottom. Robbie almost had the opportunity to get to his inside, but Wayne Hutchison up on the outside. Gonna pull back a couple of rows coming up off of turn number 4.
They're kind of a little squirrely there in that outside lane. Looks like they get just about ready to touch and then kind of slice and dice on that rear bumper a little bit.
Really tough to push, especially when you can't see through what you're pushing here. I mean, that spoiler in front of you takes up most of what you're seeing. All right for the 62 right now, who's only got one car in front of him. Somebody behind, 14, Bob Beltrami, the 00. Something happens in front of him, they can't see it.
Yeah, you can't see it, and you don't have enough time to react usually here at these super speedways. But outside lanes beginning to move forward. Wayne Hutchinson about even there with Todd Miles as everybody starts to fan out. Alan Bergen goes up 3 wide, dumps back into line once again. But you can kind of see just going inside outside all across that rear bumper there of the 62.
Keith Kelman, that 07 coming up behind as well. 5 laps complete here at Talladega. Coming here in 10th. Up the racetrack goes Bob Beltrami. He's going to try to take advantage of this run coming up off of turn 2. And a big shove here from Hutchison pushes him forward. Side by side for second with Miles. Now side by side for the race lead with Sisler.
Yeah, Bob Beltrami waited until the perfect time to slide up into that outside line. Alan Bergen almost down into the 44. Back out in line, but he's going to lose a little bit of that draft there after regroup here.
Yeah, it really tears up that outside lane. You see a bunch of guys getting back down to the bottom. Single file. Nobody has lost this draft yet. Dustin Burns here in 23rd. Still within the lead pack. 2 seconds behind your race leader, Matt Sisler. Bob Beltrami trying to fight back on the outside with only 3 trucks up there. Alan Bergen trying to come back up. John Kenyon thought about moving up, thinks better of it, goes back down to the bottom. Bob Beltrami up to the front, takes over the race lead, getting into turn number 3. Gonna be able to get down and get clear. He is he gonna quit? Yeah, there he goes. Hutchison tried to follow him down, didn't quite have the space, and Beltrami moves back up in front of Hutchison. Middle lane seems to have a little bit of steam.
And definitely moving. Alan Bergen there had the draft of the 62, almost had too much of a run. Thought about going to the outside, did not, and now that outside lane moves down to the bottom. Going to leave Bergen out there all by himself to lead it.
And that 00 lead line. Indian right behind him. Get himself a bit of a run coming up off of 2, but he doesn't have much help. Back up on the side's going to allow him to close in, and Todd Miles gets shuffled up. Spot back down, and
Well, that's the thing about racing at these super speedways. If you put your foot all the way to the floor and you're getting that draft, you are going to outrun the car in front of you. So you kind of have to have that throttle control to allow you to maintain the gap between you and the car in front of you. Otherwise, you have to pull out, and then that shakes up the whole line, and you slow down a little bit again.
I don't know if that 00 is handling very well. He moves up the racetrack, and if he was trying to let the 88 go through. That looks like he is. All the way up to the top for the 00. He's going to fall back, and Jensen here on the bottom of 3 wide momentarily. Got help there from Butch Davis behind him, and John Kenyon now leads that outside lane. We're going to move back in line. Drivers are going to notice that, though. That 00 didn't really look stable leading a line. Later on in the race, people are going to be aggressive to try to get around him.
Yeah, it looked like he didn't have too much trouble pushing, but leading that line, not really what it seemed like he wanted to do. Trying to run an entire track seems to be more his speed here.
Comes Kenyon with a run up on the outside of Jacob Jensen. Bergen going to try to follow him through.
Like Chris Walker was thinking about jumping to that outside line, but elected to stay down on the bottom. Miles is kind of bouncing inside outside, not really sure what he's trying to do at the moment there. Walker almost gets into Kenyon.
Yeah, but here's another run for that outside lane. It looks like Scott Kukas going to close in as well. Give these drivers trying to make something happen up on the outside. We're getting close to the back bumper of Kenyon now. Side by side here with Sisler. Going to be a battle for 4th. Up the racetrack once again goes Todd Miles. Almost gets into that 00. Dix of Wayne Fleet trying to work his way up to the... Look, a huge pull on the back of Scott Kukas here, and got a lot of momentum. Now he's going to try to get side by side with Jensen here. No, Davis back. Bit of momentum. Outside really gets some good momentum coming up off of the corners.
Yeah, you get that draft there, kind of pulls you along. That outside lane gets so close to the inside there. Bergen and Miles almost touch once again.
Because he get a little aggressive with the side draft, which I mean it can help you out a lot first in this race, but you don't want to be too aggressive with it too early.
Well, looks like Todd Miles about 3/4 of the way through the corner kind of slides up a little bit.
Get a bit of a checkup there, getting into turn 1. There's something we haven't really talked about yet, Mike, because when you're pushing these guys, you really want to try to be careful to not overheat, lose an engine that way, and best thing you want to do is blow a motor, run in traffic, let alone at any point in this race.
Yeah, you don't want to blow an engine in the WSRL. Don't believe they have any fast repairs tonight, so you blow that engine, you are done.
Oh, here comes pit stops from the front. Kenyon comes in. Oh, Alan Bergen, no! Gets into Bob Beltrami.
Oh.
Bob goes around in the tri-oval. Alan does as well, and I don't know if Alan knew anybody was coming into the pits that time and was trying to follow the 88.
Wow.
Todd Miles takes over the race lead. I don't know if I heard anybody call out for pit stops that last time, Mike.
I don't know that I did either, but wow.
Take a look at what happened there in just a few minutes. Still green flag on lap number 14. Whole group is coming in as well. Couple in the back. Yeah, there's Wayne Fleet. Oh, and no! Todd
Sideways.
Miles goes around in the front. Wayne Fleet goes around in the back. I think Fleet might have touched that inside wall a bit, but Todd Miles is going to lose a ton of time. Jacob and Shane Jensen, the only two to stay out on the racetrack. Black flag for Todd Miles. One for James Dewar in the 44. Beltrami got one. Nope. Parked here.
Like he was trying to come in again and lost it again.
Comes to the pits. Tough break there for the 14 machine. Comes Jacob Jensen in all by himself. Kane gonna follow. Butch Davis going to take over the race lead once the Woods fills out. They're all trying to scatter around to get around him. Here comes Brian Barnes to the race lead. Chris Walker with him. That's Sisler. Samard. A group of 5 up front.
Yep. Butch Davis, Chris Samard back together as those FBR teammates. Flips back up here.
I really don't think the 00 knew they were coming in, and by the time he knew and committed, he was.
Yeah, he might have got a little touch there from Todd Miles, but he tapped those brakes and went sideways.
Very unfortunate deal there as Jacob Jensen's able to stay with this lead group. It's going to be a group of 6. A group of 4 trying to close in. They're about 3 seconds back. A little bit quicker at the moment. Take a look who's here. Dustin Burns, the driver that we saw tailing up this good portion of it. Those Beavers don't seem to want to get together right. There they go.
And if you're in this lead group, you just want to get hooked up and just keep logging laps here. Try and get as far away from everybody else as you can. Settle it between yourselves here.
Yeah, that's pretty much the name of the game. You got some quick drivers behind you that you don't want to give them the opportunity. You don't want to give them a tow. But it might be getting just a little bit too late. Make that call as these guys are starting to close in on that group of in front of them. 7 rather with Todd Miles. You can see them. It's bigger and bigger in windshield.
Yeah, they definitely are. But we got tons of pit stops, and we just saw what could happen pretty quickly.
Right on board here with Earl Weaver. He's had himself a bit of an up and down day. Kind of got towards the back of the pack on that first stanza. Now leads second group, 7th place. Working his way towards this pack. Look behind him at David Weaver. partners started in 14th. Kind of the same deal. These guys worked towards the back of the pack. Not all the way in the back, but mid-back. And now they're closing in. Dustin Burns at the back for a good portion of this inning of the race. And now, taking 2 tires, finds himself in the top 10. Now this group has got to be a little bit bigger.
Yep, everybody back together again.
Chris Walker holds out of the race lead over Matt Sisler, Butch Davis, Chris Samard, Brian Barnes, Jacob Jensen. Will Weaver decides to get in line and the single file line a little longer. Ryan Steele rounds out the top 10, and you got to go almost 10 seconds back where Shane Jensen and John Kenyon are. Got Kukas Phil also in this group. William Fletcher tried to close in on the tail end. These guys are actually a little quicker than your race. However, they've got a long go. For time before the next pit stop, I would imagine 5 to probably 7 laps.
Yeah, probably pretty close to that.
That last time around, they were over a second per lap quicker. Now they've got a little bit of tow from Bob Beltran. Really going to help them. Get Bob in at the tail end of this pack quickly, depending on Bob's damage. Might be able to increase the velocity of the pack.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed with these trucks, especially, if you get 3 or 4, usually, as long as they're working well together, they are faster than that bigger pack because they're able to stay more consistently in line.
Yeah, that's a good point. I also feel like the less cars you've got, the less.
True.
Oh, they're going to push Bob. Move down a little bit. Not much though. We've got some shuffling going on up front, and that's only going to slow down lead group. Comes Dustin Burns up to the outside. Started at the back, stayed at the back. Every pass he makes is personal best for the day. Up into third. Got a run on Sisler, getting side by side. Sisler trying to push Walker here, but look at this run up on the top side. David Weaver in the 16, gonna try to close in on that 0-4, but the outside already gonna get a massive run.
Yeah, the Weavers are definitely helping Dustin Burns. Burns to the point for now. See if he jumps over, and he'll do just that. Almost a little too close there for comfort for Chris Walker. Walker checked up, allowed Sisler to check up as well.
Is struggling to get back in line here. Kenyon moves up. Lucas all the way up at the top. Guys running side by side, not going to help. They're starting to lose more time for the race lead. Guys still side by side up in front of them. It's a prime opportunity to try to take over or take advantage.
Yeah, definitely looking at the leaderboard right now. It looks like Alan Bergen's in the pits.
It's the next 4 laps or so. Side by side up front, the Weavers trying to take it. Not getting super close, not really slowing down that inside lane. If anything, they're just working together and getting more speed. Comes David down to the bottom. Earl tries to follow, but nowhere for him to go. Bit of a checkup up in the front there. Earl all by himself. Try to find a spot to fall in line here. See if he can. Not really a whole heck of a lot of real estate on the inside lane at the moment.
Yeah, nothing he could do there. He would have had to try and side draft almost immediately, but that as soon as nobody was around him, that parachute came out and he is going back to the back.
Yeah, you can make that outside work with a little bit of help, but can't do it alone. Back up front, David Weaver continues to lead over Dustin Burns, Chris Walker, Matt Sisler, and Butch Davis. Back at the Shane group. Closing in on the group in front, Ryan Steele just about 5.5 seconds in front of him. It was almost a 10-second gap between packs, but this front group all single filed out. Be tough. With another pit stop coming, you're going to have to try to be quicker than these guys on pit lane. Obviously, the split in the pack has a lot to do with those pit stops the first time around, and want to do it better if you're one of the trailing cars this time.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to do that, and it looks like Matt Sisler came in on lap 13, so might be a little shorter than everybody around him. You have to go back to John Kenyon for the other drivers who pitted on lap 13, so I'm assuming they're going to have to come in here momentarily.
Listening for some radio calls. We see separation here within drivers in the lead pack. Allow some extra braking room up off of turn number 4. Nobody in this front group is going to pit except for Matt Sisler. Sisler had to.
Wayne Fleet's down there as well. Daryl Scott, Wayne Hutchinson also in.
On Kenyon, William Fletcher, they came in that last time around, or they're coming in this time around as well. Hutchison just coming up off of the pit lane. A lot of guys up in this front pack are going to come in and pit.
And hopefully everybody does it nice and smooth.
Already lost a couple here on entry. Here comes Weaver and the crew. 4 of them. Five drivers in to pit this time around. Shane Jensen comes in and around goes Scott Kukas. No, that's Barry Phil in the 99. Trying to get it shifted into reverse. Top 5 still out on the racetrack, lined up, blazing fast, over 180 miles an hour on corner entry. See if these guys come into pit this time.
I would assume all of these drivers are going to come in.
Here are Samard going to try to gain an advantage on entry here. It's in first, just by a nose. They're going to be beneficial, though, if his pit stall is in front after Butch Davis's, and it is. Not by much. Walker with Dustin Burns, David Weaver, and Matt Sisler together here. Todd Miles with Earl Weaver. Todd Miles not on the lead lap. Ways back to Shane Jensen and little ways back to John Kenyon. More in line here. William Fletcher and Wayne Fleet. Fleet is also laps down at this point. He's only 1 lap down.
Yeah, I believe so. But those pit stops definitely shook up this back line. And if they can't get back together, they're going to lose a ton of time relatively quickly.
There's this group that just came off of the pit lane. Chris Walker got some help behind him.
It's like Butch Davis spent an extended amount of time on pit lane compared to everybody else. I think he took 4 tires.
Yeah, it's tire pick. Well, you don't really expect this to be a tire type of race, but it's going to be certain situations you might want to have them. 8 race record being pressure tires. Definitely dice your way through the pack a little.
Yep.
Group closing in on the first once again. Barnes holding on to the race lead. Numerous different leaders here today. Led the most. Walker, he's led 7 laps. Host Matt Sisler's led 6. Bob Beltrami led 6. Weaver with 4. Jacob Jensen 3. Ryan Barnes 2. Demard, Dustin Burns, Butch Davis, and Wayne Fleet all led 1. His Gators on the day, Chris Samart, Ryan Barnes, Dustin Burns, Davis, Ryan Steele.
Yeah, you definitely tend to see those bigger names here on these super speedway tracks. Usually, from the looks of that list, they elected to start towards the back and work their way through the field.
Common strategy by racing on iRacing. A lot of guys that want to try to get through whatever mistake somebody else is going to make before they get up front and make the throw. At least how I do it. This front group of 8 is pulling away. Earl Weaver and Butch Davis are trying to work together, close in a little bit, but tough with just the 2 of them.
Yeah, they did a little.
But that 50 got a little bit of damage to it, so he's not able to quite pull up to these guys.
Got to get up closer just a little bit here. Closes in now. See if you can help this group move a little bit closer towards the front.
A little bit, but it's kind of allowing these guys to kind of push away from him. Now he closes in on that rear bumper.
I'll say he gets in line, and then watch here as you come towards corner exit. He's staying in line relatively well here, and then right. Oh, That time he didn't do too bad.
Oh, problems! Into the wall goes Weaver. Into the inside wall as well, and not going to see a caution flag.
Off the racing surface. He is all out of sorts there, though.
We were just talking about the 15 staying in line and how hard these two were pushing. Davis and Weaver. Butch is all over that back bump. Off of the corner, I'm not sure. Yeah, he got the 46 a little bit loose. Tried to follow him back down and contact there. Pretty big contact there for the 46 of Weaver. Trying to close in on this lead pack here as we approach the halfway point. Eight cars in this lead draft. 18 on the lead lap. Group back here. They're about 40 seconds off the lead, but they are a little bit quicker. Not necessarily at risk of going a lap down. They will more than likely need the help of a caution flag if they're going to mount any sort of charge. Racing.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need something to regroup this this whole field. Butch Davis is going to probably lose a lot of time now. He's kind of by himself at the moment.
Yeah, he's got Todd with him. Not making up the speed.
Yeah, these top 8 are just trying to log laps, drive away from the field.
Oh, they're trying to drive away, Mike. They're in time to everybody right now.
I know.
Brian Barnes. I wonder if these guys are out front trying to save a little bit of fuel. Came in on 29. If you can make it to 45, get around 60. Make it to the end, barring any green checkers. But we've been green the whole way. So who's to say that we're going to see any of those green-white checkers come our way?
Yeah. Very true. But you are right. They were like 172. And now that Ryan Steele pulled out a little bit, they went up to almost 180 again. So
Comes Steele taking the race lead. I think Barnes said, "All right, if you don't want to stay slow, you can go fast." Put your Roo up front.
might have been a little bit of a strategy play. I mean, I know if you're leading the race, you're going to be using a lot more fuel than the driver in second. So
Definitely, these guys could be just trading back and forth. Making sure that they both get that opportunity to save some fuel. Still a long way to go. Going to be 35 laps to go at the stripe. Davis still trying to close in. Real tough ask, which sucks though.
Yeah. It is going to be rough there. Looks like Alan Bergen stopped on the racetrack. Oh, jump to his pit box.
John Kenyon and Shane Jensen come into the pits. Little early, but see what the strategy move is there. And well, drivers up front still stay.
I think you're going to want to try and get as close to that 45 as you can. Otherwise, that's going to mean you'll have to come in with 4 or 5 laps to go, and that's not necessarily something you want to have to do unless you're banking on a caution late.
I feel like when it's that close, somebody's gonna try it. Or 16 are coming in this time. Are starting to catch up to a couple of lap trucks with John Kenyon and Shane Jensen. Going to help them gain time. Drivers who come into pit.
Everybody trying to talk and see when they're going to come in.
Come in this time. This be where the window has opened up for them.
If they save a little bit of fuel in that next run, it probably be pretty close.
We're pretty good entry. Gain the lead. Control to give him a flag. No, looks like he got in.
Looks like Butch Davis is also in.
Burns. Got enough momentum. Out of the pit stop. Guys on the bottom, turns 1 and 2. Ryan Barnes coming up off of turn 2, getting back onto the racetrack. Heat advantage going to Walker for now, but these guys are going to be pretty much up to speed by the time they get into turns 3 and 4. Up to the top side of Samard, but he might not even have enough momentum to complete that pass. He barely does. Gets down in front of the 77. Top 3 able to stay out in front. Brian Barnes, Ryan Steele, Jacob Jensen.
Yeah, definitely all 3 of them had almost identical pit lane time, so able to stay together. Samard all over the rear bumper of Chris Walker. Better be careful there. We saw what can happen when you're sawing on that rear bumper.
.44 laps complete here at Talladega. We're going to go ahead and step aside, pay some bills real quick, and we'll be right back. Final pit stop potentially finished for sure.
Premier Racing Setups is the longest running setup shop on iRacing. Our monthly subscription options start as low as $20 a month. We offer setups for dirt oval, asphalt oval, and road racing, covering a wide range of cars and skill levels. Built and tested by top-tier sim racers, this isn't just a business, it's a community of competitive drivers. If you want to better your iRacing experience, head over to PremierRacingSetups.com today, and remember, if you don't get one, you're going to chase one.
Back live here at Talladega, Brian Barnes continues to lead over Steele and Jacob Jensen. Another 2 seconds back to Chris Walker, Chris Samard, Dustin Burns trying to close in on the group. Barry Phil trying to close in as well. He wants to race Keith Kelman for that free pass position. Tell you what, that top group is phenomenal when it comes to pushing here in this stage of the game.
Yeah, they are hooked up, and they're pretty much almost as relaxed as they need to be. I think all three of them just ran the fastest personal best of the race, so definitely found some speed together here.
Going to spell trouble for guys like Chris Walker, Arn. Got to do everything they can to close in on the group. Five laps to go when we cross the start-finish line. Talladega race has definitely been far from chaotic. Not seen major wrecks. We saw the 46 get put into the wall. We saw Bergen and Beltrami get together. Other than that, it's been a pretty smooth day here at Talladega.
Yeah, not too much going on at the moment, but you never know. Once these 25 laps start to wind down, that aggression gets turned up just a little bit here, but these front three drivers if it stays like this, they're just going to want to cruise off into the sunset tonight. They are gaining time on the second pack here.
I'm not sure what these guys are going to need to do to close it in. Have to figure it out soon.
Yeah, they need to stay lined up. Chris Dumars trying to do everything he can on the rear bumper there of Chris Walker, but Dustin Burns kind of floats in and out and not really staying hooked up. And Barry Phil kind of doing the same thing there.
Burning behind those front two. Try to put together. Able to close in just a bit, but quite stay close enough to put these guys up 80-mile-an-hour mark. Very long at the
That looks like Dustin Burns almost gave a little bump draft there to the 77 of Chris Demar, then backed off, and now they are scattering once again.
Got to stay close. If you're going to get close enough to make that kind of contact, you got to be able to stay there. The type of gap that you're putting behind the 77 is not going to help any.
No, it is slowing them down. It's almost like a parachute kind of comes out a little bit before they get regrouped.
Stops happening towards the back of the field. I don't think these guys are going to be able to make it.
Everybody's talking now like they're going to have to come in momentarily, so they might have to make this one and one more pit stop. Might be a little splash and go at the end, but we'll see what happens. See when the drivers elect to pull on down and head down pit lane.
Keith Kelman's starting to lose a little bit of time to this pack. Did a little switcheroo to put Jacob Jensen behind Steve.
Kelman coming in.
Can they stay as quick as they were before?
Almost as fast as they were before.
Benson's still good job of pushing that 12, separating from the 4 a little bit down the back straightaway. Drivers coming up off of the pit lane. There's 5 right by.
Chris Walker, David Weaver.
That's just all coming in. First going to come in, and whether 77 follows him in.
I would say no, but
Need 3, stay out one more time. Burns comes in and looks like all by himself. At the 99 of Barry Phil come in as well, but and distance back. Second group setting up is only going to lead Tails, top 3, top 2. Continue to pull away from the core of Brian Barnes. And look at this run these guys have amassed. 4 car lengths and the truck behind them. Separation now is going to allow Brian Barnes in.
Yeah, it's just amazing what that bump drafting will do there. And they were making it work almost perfectly here as they coming in.
Coming in at 7, 19 remaining. Have to make one more stop for guys who found longer, been less fuel.
Down the way, looks like Samard gets away fairly quickly as well.
Need to go. Come out just as they came in.
Yeah, almost identical pit stops once again.
Out by himself right now. Going to be able to close in. Pass.
So there's James Dewar. Might be able to get in line behind him, trying to.
They're just behind his, trying to get some toe here. Catch up. Then they've got some lap traffic up in front of them. Get interesting when you get lapped cars around the race leaders.
Yeah.
At the end of the pass.
Well, you have that, and then also if these 3 lead cars pass these other drivers here, that's going to put another group between them and that second place group. But that second place group can kind of get a draft off of these lap cars, and it may help them more to have that group than if it was just the 2 separate groups out here on track.
That's provided that stay with your leaders.
Yeah, that was weird. It looked like the leaders were going to just kind of roll on by, and then all of a sudden it's like they lost all their momentum as soon as they switched that middle lane there.
Samard still by himself. Dustin Burns, Chris Walker, James Dewar all together now. To close in, it's going to be a 9-second gap that they have to overcome, and still another pit stop coming for everybody.
Yeah, it looked like everybody's going to have to pit. I think the farthest we have win is like 15 or 16 laps, so
Everybody's
nobody
gonna
really
have to
pushed.
pit. Matter,
Yeah.
like, everybody should be okay to make it up. Most everybody's going to have to.
Yeah.
Now comes another interesting part. These guys are a 5 or so laps away from lapping John Kenyon. Wayne Hutchison, another 5 laps in front of that. Shane Jensen, another 5 in front of that. Gonna add more cars to the pack. cars to the lap down race for the.
Yeah, definitely not. But right now, that second group with Chris Walker and Dustin Burns is closing in on them. It was over 10 seconds. Now it's down under 9.
Going to be enough time. Can these guys run quick enough behind these lapped cars? Technically, the lead.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Half a second cut off there by Chris Hang. Out of your Apty. Or speed out of this now.
It looks like Bob Beltrami and Wayne Hutchinson and Scott Kukas all came in on lap, 51? 53. So 51 to 53. So they're going to have to come in here probably 5 laps before the leaders.
A quarter second taken out.
Yeah, I think they've found the lineup that they needed. It looked like Dustin Burns was a little bit hesitant when he was being the pusher, but now that he's the pushy, he is free and clear, and they are moving towards the front.
You're down this back straightaway. Got a long way to go to catch up to the race, but something here. Get a good pit stop, try to close in some of that gap. Got a chance at gap and back right. Hey,
I'll say you got a few more added there, but you never know what would happen.
It up, gets a little bit of air to that 23, costs him a touch of time, but it prevents him from taking a.
Whoa. James Warner shot up the track.
I wonder if Hard is back off behind those guys. Or lapped cars gonna try to get the back. Daryl Scott.
Yeah, Scott trying to hang on here. Gap down to under 8 seconds now.
And the more cars we get in this pack, sketchy it's gonna get. These guys might start getting side by side racing. Run, out your racing. For those 3 guys up. And the 17 of Wayne Hutchison. Top 3 gonna move unimpeded.
Little sketchy there for Barry Phil in that outside lane.
A bit. 9 laps to go here. Lucas, Kenyon, Hutchison. That's as up front. 8 seconds over the next 3 drivers. That gap is stabilized. Actually, back in the favor of your race.
Yeah, like I said, you get that short little group, and sometimes it is way faster than 6 or 7 cars.
Also note Ryan's Barnes know how to get it done in trucks, pushing at Talladega. One of the skills necessary to become a champion in this league, and Jacob Jensen all about that. Leaders come in and make their final pit stop. 8 laps to go. 7 when they cross the stripe. Time for the...
Yeah, I'd almost stay out as long as I could.
Second group, and they're going to try to stay together. Everybody making it okay. However, William Fletcher got a speeding penalty. Lonely for the guys.
Quick stop.
And we'll see how they can regroup. Meanwhile, the top 3 still staying out another lap. Coming 6 laps to go. Have to think they're laps away. Post hitting. They've got to come in. Up 4 laps to go. Mard. Tabbed for speeding. It'll be.
Yep. I would say Chris Samard either got nabbed for speeding or he got nabbed on pit exit. Looked like he got a little too close to those double yellow lines.
That could have. Hey. In steel. 5 laps to go here at Talladega between Jacob Jensen and Brian Barnes. Walker already made a pit stop. He's 4 seconds back. Continuing time. Justin Burns with him still. Not a lot of help. Peter's coming in this time. Four laps to go. Going to be over 10 miles left in the out of their. Jensen aggressive on pit entry. Did he get down in time? Look. Take over the race lead, getting into the pit. Got the quick stop. A bit less fuel than the rest of the field does to make and white checker, but caution. 70 laps. Steele gets away. Barnes gets away. Jensen gets away from the front. Be able to retain that lead. Steele gets around him. He's flirting with that double yellow line, but able to clear Jensen. Heading into turn number 1, these guys have a hefty gap on Chris Walker, who's just now coming through the tri-oval. Back to be about 10 seconds difference there, so should come down to the final 3, the final 2. Jacob Jensen gets loose. Bob Beltrami able to find himself in between Jensen and Barnes.
And Bob Beltrami going to get a little speed here. Have Brian Barnes behind him. Beltrami was hoping to get involved in the finish. Not the way he is right now, but he did have a fast ride early on in this race.
Barnes trying to push that 14 up. Knows they've got a gap to the cars behind them. Laps to go this time. All bets are going to be off. If you can push that 14 out in front, get yourself clear, get down. Shot right there.
Yeah, and you know how fast the 64 and 12 have been. So you have to take your chance here. You have a little help there with Bob Beltrami. Beltrami slides clear up to the top, and that is not going to do Brian Barnes any favors as he falls back into line.
Beltrami going to get in behind that 4. If he can get himself a run, what's going to happen with it coming down the back straightaway? Getting into turn number 3. Barnes closes in on the 64, looks up top for just a moment. There as they come to 2 laps to go here in Talladega.
They are all 3 where they kind of want to be. We'll see what happens here as we're going to get the 2 to go this time by. Jacob Jensen moves to the outside, going to try to pass Ryan Steele for the lead. He will do just that for the moment, but Steele and Barnes stay hooked up on the bottom. Jacob Jensen going to be fighting hard in that outside lane, trying to side draft all he can.
But he knows how good Jacob Jensen is. He got the job done last week in Kansas. This week, can't imagine anybody who has a say is going to let him take this checkered flag. Look at that side draft effort down the back straightaway. Pulls Brian Barnes clear car lengths off of Ryan Steele. Now he's going to be able to fall back in line. Ryan, he take this run coming up off of turn number 4. Stays in line. We're coming to the white flag as these guys come through the tri-oval. Going to be a lapped car just in front of these guys, and knows that might give somebody a little extra tow. For the final 2 2/3 miles, white flag is in the air. Ryan Steele holding on to the bottom. Brian Barnes close enough to make a move, but he knows he's going to need help, and if he pulls out right now, Jacob Jensen is going to have a huge hole to suck up on for the tow. Coming up down the back straightaway, getting some distance between themselves and the 64, but Jensen going to get a nice tow getting into turn 3, and he closed in enough to make a move. Half a car length separating first and second. Little bit of draft here from the Weaver machine in front. Weaver goes high, gonna stay out of the way. Brian Barnes got a nice run coming up off of turn number 4. Does he have enough to do anything with it? Jacob Jensen closing in, but not quite enough. Jensen looks high. Brian Barnes looks to the middle, but nothing doing for Ryan Steele. He's gonna get the job done. Ryan Barnes second, Jacob Jensen third. Chris Walker comes home in 4th over Dustin Burns. David Weaver and Matt Sisler racing here for 6th and 7th. Butch Davis will be able to take home 8th place. And Jensen, Chris Samard racing for 9th and 10th. Kane's going to be able to get 9th as Chris closes in. Quite close enough. Caution free here at Talladega, and Ryan Steele plays the strategy game to a T. Gets it done. Phenomenal drive here for the 12. Brian Barnes and Jacob Jensen also on the podium here today. Ryan Steele gonna burn it down.
Yeah, we always talk about Ryan Steele and the strategy game that he can play. He knows how to manage fuel and tires. This, not quite the same thing, but plenty of pit stops to take advantage of, and he winds up bringing home the victory. Brian Barnes kind of just stuck with him through the finish there. And Jacob Jensen just didn't have the help he needed to make a pass there late.
All right, well, let's see if we can get Jacob up in here, our 3rd place finisher. Jacob, it's Liam and Mike up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you. How you guys doing?
Pretty good, man. You come home third. You, Ryan, and Brian all seem to strategy. Even stayed out a couple extra laps on that first. First off, how did the car feel, and how long did it take for you to figure out that these are the guys you wanted to work?
Yeah, it was kind of a boring night, to be quite honest. Really not a lot of passing just because you're all trying to stay in line, saving gas. But in the end, it was a pretty good race. And yeah, as soon as we got through that second round of pit stops, I was like, well, these guys are pitting when I'm pitting. Might as well just kind of stay with them and see what happens. And it worked out well because everyone else got shuffled back through the pit cycle and we were able to keep going forward and forward and forward.
Make a move for the win there at the end, and didn't quite pan out. Do you think there was anything else you could have done there on that last lap that could have gotten you home?
Unfortunately not. Ryan and Brian were both really good today. And yeah, it happens that way sometimes. The truck after its redo of physics is really different. And doesn't have a ton of super powerful draft anymore, so you can't do those giant sends like you could before. But it was a pretty good race, and yeah, it would have been interesting if there was a few more cars up there.
Awesome stuff, Jacob. Before we let you go, who do you want to thank for such a strong run here at Talladega and moving on into Texas?
Well, always got to thank the good Lord. Always got to thank the family. It was unfortunate for sure what happened at the start of the race with me and Shane Jensen. We were hoping to be able to stay together, but that just didn't pan out. Always got to thank Uncle Leonard. Always got to thank all my friends. Got to thank the sponsors at TWRS, Icon Apparel, Dubby, and WLT2 Motorsports. Got to thank you guys for putting the show together, and got to thank Bob for putting the league together.
Awesome stuff, Jacob. Congratulations. Another podium finish. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon.
Sounds good. Have a nice one.
Next, we'll bring in second place Brian Barnes. Mike, I think you got him.
Hey, Brian, Mike up in the booth, man. How's it going?
Whoop, wrong button. Doing good. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Looked like you guys had played the perfect strategy call here, counting down all of the pit stops you were going to have to make here at Talladega. How was it racing out there with that limited fuel?
I think we could have used a little larger tank. That was a few too many pit stops, but at least I nailed them all, and that's what it takes here.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it. You were kind of hanging out with Jacob and Ryan for the last part of the race. You guys were able, when it was just you three, you guys were able to pull away quite the lead there at the end. What strategy, or were you just kind of sticking to Ryan the whole way through the finish there?
Yeah, we were kind of, since he's my teammate, we're kind of a 2-on-1 against Jacob. So poor Jacob had to fend for himself. But yeah, we lost a lot of our other teammates real early in the race. So especially that very first pit stop, that took a few people out.
Yeah, we were kind of talking calamity on pit road, but you bring home a second place finish. Anybody you want to thank before we get you out of here tonight?
Nope, just you guys for putting this on. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Well, we'll see you next week at Texas.
All right, thanks.
All right, and then, of course, we're going to bring in our race winner, Ryan Steele. Ryan, how you feeling?
Pretty good. Nice, relaxing, around the finish there. The whole race, really.
Yeah, caution-free race here at Talladega, which caused you guys have to play your strategy out. Whatever you guys came up with at the beginning of the race was picture perfect, because you and your teammate won too. Best in the series, right behind you with nobody to help him. What was the plan going into this race, and how much changed throughout the course of it that we weren't caution-free?
Yeah, I would actually say it didn't go to plan exactly because, the Dog Bear team is more than just me and Brian. It's also got Wayne and Bob and Scott in there too. And the plan was to all pit together, but we didn't wind up on the same end of the track. Like on the first pit stop, Bob and Wayne were up front, and Brian and I were toward the back. And Brian was like, I really don't want to pit that first lap because I think there's going to be a crash. And so I was like, well, okay, if Brian wants to stay out, I'll stay out with him. And then he was right. There was a crash that took out our other two teammates. I didn't see what happened on pit road yet, but I just know that they had their day ruined by it. But then after that, it was just dealing with the slog of people fuel saving and not being able to do anything about it. Like at some point, I don't remember exactly when, but I'm like, there's no way anyone's going to cut a fuel stop off. There's no reason to be fuel saving. Why don't we just get up there, go as fast as we can? And because we're going as fast as we can, some people are not going to be able to keep up. And the more people that drop off, the harder it'll be for anyone but me and Brian to win the race, because we would be a bigger percentage of who was left. Like Jacob was in a position where he just probably wasn't going to win this race without a wreck or something. So that is the actual strategy that got the win, because we were like, nope, we're not going to worry about fuel saving to get an extra lap for no reason, no gain. We're going to go as fast as we can. Anybody who can't keep up after the pit stop, they're gone. They're out of the race.
Oh, but now you did what you had to do when you got that Dog Bear team victory lane. And Ryan, I believe,
Fourth.
fourth win
Yeah,
on the
fourth.
season.
Yeah.
Phenomenal start after third. Able to go back to back at Tech.
Hell no. Texas is a track that we have a mutual let's say a disagreement. I argued that it should be bulldoze and not exist, and Texas insists on existing, and so we're just at this impasse where none of us can get along. Yep. Like every racetrack in Texas, as far as every big national level track in Texas should be bulldozed. So obviously I have to thank Brian for the win there, because even at the end, he could have gotten by me if he wanted to win the race himself. He chose to stay behind me and give me the win there. So obviously I have to thank him and have to thank the rest of the team for the amount of time put in for the strategy and thinking these things through. And I got to thank you guys for covering the series so my friends can watch.
And your friends are going to have a lot to talk about with you moving forward after today. You dominated this race. We'll take a look at our lap leaders, because you led 25 laps today.
Wow.
Third of this
I had
race,
no idea I led the most laps. Well, that's another strategy win, getting another bonus point.
Sure. Yeah, phenomenal stuff for you here, Ryan, and congratulations once again on the win. You might not believe it. Sure, we'll be talking to you again next week.
I'll try. I don't think I've ever won a race there, so it would be a monumental moment, I think.
I mean, we talked to the whole.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
No, jokes aside, awesome stuff tonight, Ryan. Congrats, and talk to you again.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's gonna about do it for us here on Sim Racing Media. Results of the day: Ryan still gets. Ryan Barnes in second place, Jacob Jensen in third, Chris Walker, Dustin Burns, David Weaver, Matt Sisler, Butch Davis, Shane Jensen, and Chris Samard round out your top 10. Roll through on the bottom right side. Finish up here at Talladega Superspeedway, a track of 2 2/3 miles. 75 laps here completed, 15 green flag lead, 11 drivers, and no caution flags. Phenomenal stuff. Hard charger of the day was Ryan Steele, your race winner. Started in 16th. Laps led also goes to Ryan Steele with 25. Butch Davis, fastest lap of the race of 50:48. Jensen, the fastest lap in qualifying, give him the pole position. Phenomenal stuff here in Talladega, as always, and definitely a change of pace from what we were expecting here tonight, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we did see some little bit of chaos there on pit lane early, but they got that figured out, and it did kind of ruin a couple drivers' day, but overall, great racing here once again from the Western States Racing League.
You guys know how to put on a show, and if you're looking for another one, of course, we got tomorrow, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Saturday, we've got PR, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. Monday night, Icon at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. A lot of shows coming your way. And let's not forget, we've got a 500-mile race at Indianapolis coming up in just under a month. Can't thank you guys enough for tuning in here live for 200 miles at the world's biggest and baddest speedway. I'm Liam Mervig with Mike DeMoney, signing off. Before we go, always I'd like to quote Cletus and say, "Do it for Dale, be like Biff." And as you guys walk through the streets of life, please don't play in traffic. Have a good night, folks.